Now, as we continue to celebrate and commemorate Women's Month, Momentum hosted their two-day Women Who Make Moves in Sports Summit this past week on the 8th and the 9th, which was Women's Day in South Africa. The summit was aimed at helping sportswomen commercialize and build their personal brands in order to increase their earning potential by attracting endorsement and sponsorship opportunities. Now, to tell us more about this, we are joined by Chief Marketing Officer at Momentum, Nontokozo Madonsela. Nontokozo, thank you so much for joining us, and happy Women's Month.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on your show.
Just tell us, as a start, a little bit about why, as a company, you're so passionate about women's sport. We know very well from a sport perspective, you've been very behind the women's cricket team and many other sporting entities. Just tell us briefly about that.
Well, like you correctly said, Momentum has been behind women's sports for many, many years. And for us, really, I think if you look at what Momentum does every August, we do an exciting campaign called She Owns a Success, because there are many, many households that are led by women in the country. So that campaign extended to women who make moves in sports, because the conversation about the sponsorship gap is not enough to be had in terms of the sponsorship gap from the company side. So we sought to get 2 days with female athletes to really give them tools, tricks, advice, so that they could find other ways to commercialize their brands and to negotiate better deals for when they're on the field.
You touched on the objective of the summit, but what would you say, looking at the 2 days, have you achieved what you wanted to achieve with the summit, being the inaugural one?
So we got such incredible feedback from the participants of the 2 day over the 2 days. One, we took a risk because we didn't know if everybody felt like being in a class from 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the evening. And on the public holiday, being Women's Day, they had a hectic schedule starting at 9, ending off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. What was incredible is that they appreciated the content that we touched on. We touched on topics like, how do you read your contracts? How do you negotiate better in terms of just the legal stuff? How do you build your personal brand and tell a story that is authentic to you as the athlete? How do you use social media? How do you use social media to get your numbers? Because, you know, it's one thing to have your viewers and fans watch you when you're playing on television, but when you're on your personal social platforms, you need to have good numbers, because that is what brands buy into. We also touched on a topic to do with reputational management, because a lot of the athletes obviously are public figures and they're celebrities because they're so brilliant at what they do. So if they're found in a place at the wrong time doing the wrong thing, they've got to be able to negotiate themselves out of that situation so that they can continue to be successful in making money. And then we concluded the second day, or the program, with day 2, which was really focused on case studies. We had Prof. Anita from Harvard, who gave us a full day and unpacked 2 powerful case studies that were filled with insights in terms of the relationships between the athletes and the brands, the relationship between the athletes and the agents, the choosing between multiple opportunities on the table in a way that is authentic to you as the athlete. So on the whole, the 2 days was incredible. And what the female athletes appreciated is that a brand like Momentum took the time to plan an incredible program focused on helping them get more financial success.
You touched on Professor Anita Elbers as one of the key speakers, but just tell us about some of the key speakers and the attendees. How did you choose them, and you know, was there a method to the madness, if I can put it that way?
Well, it was, we made sure that the project team was a strong team.
Yeah.
So we onboarded M Sport, who are an agency in terms of our books, who have good relationships with the athletes. So we then crafted a good agenda, working with a panel of expertise or experts who are on the sports side of things as well. And they were, in a way, the sponsors on our part, who were basically making sure that whatever we did correctly, with the understanding of what the real challenges are. But they were also the ones who helped us reach out to the athletes, because they've got the relationship to get them to come and attend. In terms of the content, we looked at what is involved in the business of sport. And so we unpacked all of the components of that, like, for example, contracting is important. For example, the use of your social media platforms is important. Dealing with reputation is important. Building relationship with brands is important. So we brought on experts from all of those fields to be a part of the program. What was also beautiful is that we realized that these athletes don't have data. They don't know what the numbers look like when they're playing. They don't know what the trends look like in terms of just the whole sporting environment. So we brought Mobile, who has a research agency, who understands and whose job it is to track the data and monitor what is changing in the sporting environment. For example, one of the key data points was that there were 57 sponsorship contracts signed this year. Out of the 54, only 7 were for women. 54 sponsorship contracts were signed. Of the 54 in 2023, only 7 were for women.
As we went on the conversation due to time, I mean, then looking ahead, what is the plan from this? Because more often, Nondogozo, we talk about events like this being a talk shop that we talk over 2 days, then we stop, and then we'll resume again next year with another summit. What is the plan from your side as a company to make sure that this does not just become a talk shop?
Sure. You know, the women themselves won't allow that because they were so touched and found the program valuable. So number one, they are committed to having the conversation among themselves beyond this point. But Momentum has been encouraging South Africans to come out and support the women whilst they're playing. Because what happens is the sponsors are looking for numbers. If your family and my family aren't switching on the television to watch whilst they play, or we don't buy the tickets to watch whilst they play on field, then we remain with the status quo unchanged. So we continue to advocate for support. We continue to advocate for sponsors to fund women athletes. And as Momentum, we will be coming back again to have the summit next year.
Fantastic stuff. Nondogozo, thank you so much for coming through.
Thank
that
you
is
for having us.
Nondogozo Madonsela.